Civil War Written Report. When you look back into the 1860s, fashion was really different from today's style. Everything was covered up from head to toe. During this time period, men were wearing frock coats, cutaways, and more styles. Women were wearing coupe skirts, voluminous skirts, and other styles. While children were wearing something smaller to what their parents were wearing. During the 1860s, men's styles included frock coat, cutaway, tailcoat, greatcoat, sack suit, fish brand, gentleman cape, and trousers. Their hairstyles included mustachios, lamb chop sideburns, and more. Was considered masculine and handsome. They also wore lop hats and laws. In the 1860s, men were very stylish then. They always looked their best when they went to balls. They had their hair up in a fancy style. One of the famous style was a waterfall style. They didn't wear that. They would wear a bun with pieces of hair flowing down. They thought it was inappropriate for men to see women's hair down unless he was her husband. Children usually wore something similar to what their parents were wearing. Boys aged 3 and under, they would wear dresses and shorts, but shorts were connected. Girls wore puffy dresses just like their mamas. Baby clothes, both sexes wore dresses down to their feet. During the Civil War, there were two different types of uniforms for the soldiers. There were the blue uniforms for the Union and the gray uniforms for the Confederacy. The Union's uniforms were made up of kepis, brogans, and their jackets were called dirty old. The Confederacy's uniforms were made up of slouch hats and shell jackets. Both the Union and the Confederacy shoes were called brogans. They were hardly things that they carried around. Were usually dark to match their uniforms. People who worked in hospitals as nurses or doctors would wear what they usually wore, no matter whom you were or how good you looked. And your fashionable clothes, they still smelled. Although fashion was very different from today, we can still study what it really looked like. Even though it was different from today, they still looked incredible. Written by Michaela Toppins, Emily Cadd, and Mackenzie Roberts. Typed by Emily Cadd, Mackenzie Roberts, and Michaela Toppins. Thank you.